Hello everybody, recently I've gotten a lot of defense in favor of the Cuties saying that you don't understand, it's a Muslim girl coming of age story. That's why it's important. I am here to tell you that you can tell a Muslim girl coming of age story without resorting to pedophilia. And I went through my Netflix watch history and I remembered this one movie. And it's a movie called Wadja. And Wadja was made by a Haifa Al-Mansour, and that was her featured directorial debut. It was filmed entirely in Saudi Arabia, which was very, very hard for her to do. It was filmed over a very long period of time, because it was so hard to get the filming rights to do so. And since 2013, it remains to be the first film directed by a female in Saudi Arabia. It's not trying to focus on women's issues specifically, but it ends up doing so on accident by telling its story and considering who made the movie and how did the movie come to be. Wadja is 10 years old. She lives with her mother, and her mother works as a teacher. Her mother commutes to that school and takes a very long amount of time to get there, something like 2 hours. She commutes via private driver, and private driver is running out of patience for taking her there. He just doesn't want to do it anymore. But that is the only way that she can commute, because there are restrictions for how females can move around in Saudi Arabia. Wadja does get to see her father, but not very often, so in the opening shots, we see her preparing to go to school, we see her mother leaving to her job, and we see her running into her father, and she's super happy to see her dad. Then we are introduced to the neighbor boy. Neighbor boy is hanging a portrait of what is his family member that is running for local office. Neighbor boy likes Wadja and spends a lot of time teasing her, which she doesn't take personally. He steals her lunch and runs, and she playfully chases him, catches him, says, "I got my lunch back," and then goes off to school. Important to note that Wadja is not an English movie, and you would be watching this with subtitles on. On her way to school, we get the shot of her seeing this bike and lingering on this bike. She obviously really, really wants this bike. This is what the whole movie is about. It's about a 10-year-old kid wanting a bike, which is a lot more appropriate, if you ask me. She does a whole bunch of fairly illegal hustle in the school in order to try and save up that money for that bike. She sells bracelets with football team names on them. Something that women aren't supposed to be doing in Saudi Arabia, and she does this under the papers because her teachers would obviously not be very happy about this. She also passes love notes between students for money. We see her taking money from this girl to pass a love note to a guy that waits behind the school, and she also asks him for money as well. This is what she does. The girl hustles in order to try and get her bike. We see her mother being worried about the fact that Wadja's father is gonna take a second wife. She is so adamantly against it that she practically says that he's not welcome if he does decide to do this. Her idea is to go to her uncle's wedding in a month wearing this spectacular red dress in order to deter other women from trying to pursue her husband, by showing just how beautiful she is and how affluent of a wife she is and how other women shouldn't be going after her husband. We also get a few shots of the director catching Wadja with selling her stuff and getting reprimanded and yelled on, and her deciding to enter a religious club in order to please her director slightly, and more because there is this huge prize for a religious competition of reciting the Quran, and the price would be just about the amount of money that she would require to buy that bicycle. This whole movie is about a child trying to buy a bicycle, remember that. We see her going all the way to the store and her mother picking this red dress up, and there aren't any rooms to try said dress on. They have to actually pay for it, and then they go and try it on in toilet because something weird is in Saudi Arabia, or because the shopkeeper's a male, he can't have male dressing room store, I guess. It's a very, very segregated country. It's quite interesting to see the issues that they face, and then you compare it to the issues that she actually, I think, was named Amy. The main character from the Cuties, she was actually named Amy, which is a very, very English name. And I figured that out from reading wiki page, because I don't actually know if anybody referred to her by her name. But this is very Saudi Arabian problems that this movie portrays. But we have a 10-year-old child that is not trying to twerk. They're trying to buy a bicycle, which is a lot more reasonable as an issue. A lot more reasonable. She goes and spends the money that she saved up until now from selling bracelets in order to buy a game, a console game, that is meant to teach you Quran. She does that in hopes that if she practices enough, she's gonna win the competition. There are also a few subplots running, such as the driver for her mother refuses to take her mother, saying that this is far too inconvenient for him and that he feels like he's not getting paid enough and things like that and yada yada. So the boy that obviously likes her a lot goes to the driver's door and threatens the driver with his uncle, going, "I am from this affluent family and we're gonna make you leave if you don't do your job. Just do your job." There's something quite spectacular to seeing like a 9-10-year-old boy try to threaten a grown man. It does appear to work, though. It does appear to work. Wadja exchanges the allowance for the boy to hang the posters for his uncle on her house. He was like hanging this like light bulb lights, like it's just the whole grandiose display for his uncle, and her mother was very against it because she was all like, no, they're from a different tribe. No, we can't be seen endorsing them. So her mother was against it, but Wadja allowed the boy to hang the lights in order to get access to his bicycle in order to learn how to ride a bicycle. And she also causes a fuss because at first the boy comes along with the bicycle with 4 wheels on, saying that this is for you to learn, and she gets quite offended. We also get such scenes as Wadja trying to reason with herself, just stealing some of her mother's money in order to fund herself that bike. But unlike Amy from the Cuties, which just goes into all-right criminal territory, we see her put her mother's cash back. There are also extra subplots going on, such as there being a lesbian couple inside a very highly religious Muslim school that gets publicly shamed after they were found out. There were also some girls caught painting their nails, grouchy behavior, holding each other's hands, and obviously exchanging love notes. Now, if you wanna go and figure out what the movie is on by yourself, figure out how you like it, I would say just click off right here, because this is where we're gonna start going into the movie's ending territory. So this would be the time where you might want to leave if you don't want to spoil yourself. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, next slide. Wadja and her mother, despite her mother working full-time and long hours, spend a lot of time socializing on top of rooftops, especially when they're observing men-only events that they're not supposed to be observing. Her mother tends to tease her, she tends to tease her mother, in this scene, she was asking her mother if she loves her father, because they're fighting over the whole second wife thing. The reason why he's taking a second wife is because her mother cannot conceive anymore, because her birth, Wadja's birth, was very, very traumatic, and it took away her ability to have any more children, and her father wants to have a son. It's kind of thing where only sons make it into their family tree. It's that big of a deal, and Wadja was even looking and tracing like her father's family tree at one point. Her mother says, why are you even doing that? Why are you paying attention to it and taking interest? There's no space for you on it, because they don't note girls. Either way, Wadja then goes and wins the competition. But her school asks what she was gonna use said money for. And she answers that she wants to buy a bicycle. And they say that don't be kidding. Girls can't ride bicycles. It is a horrible, immoral thing to do. We're gonna just donate your money to a religious group instead in another country fighting a war right now. This will be a much better use of your money. So she wins the competition, but she doesn't get the money. She goes home all upset, all crying, and she meets her mother on the rooftop. And there is another event happening at their uncle's place, and her mother is overlooking it. And Wadja says that the uncle's wedding, because that's not supposed to be for a month. And then her mother is like, no, that's your dad's wedding. He made his choice. Wadja says, hey, put on that red dress, let's go and get dad. The mother goes, no, I can't. I sold the red dress and I already spent that money. And she reveals the fact that she bought that bicycle that Wadja really, really wanted. It's a very touching moment. They're both crying. They're both talking their family troubles out. And the movie ends with Wadja racing the neighbor's boy, which she wanted to do from the beginning. The neighbor's boy was even trying to give his bicycle away to her because he really, really likes her, which is very sweet because he likes her in a sweet way. He's probably is in love with her, but it's more as a child. He doesn't try to do anything. He just tries to help her however way he can. And then she goes, no, I can't take your bicycle because how are we gonna race if I take your bicycle? The whole point is that she wants to race him. The whole point is that she wants to spend time with him doing these kind of things, and she's quite a competitive girl. The movie doesn't tell you whether they end up together or not, because that is not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is not Wadja romanticizing the neighbor's boy. The point of the movie is her being a kid, because she is 10 years old, and that's what she is. She's a kid that wanted a bicycle, which is a much nicer story than one with twerking young children. This is a much more appropriate coming-of-age story, and it's one that's better told, and that focuses on more important problems, and some of them are very similar, such as dads taking second wives, for example, and the toll that it takes on the mother, for example, but it's told in such much more appropriate and better way. So hey, if you want a Muslim girl comes-of-age story while her mother struggles with a father that potentially might be taking a second wife story, don't go after the cuties. Like, don't forget that that movie exists. Maybe cancel all of your subscriptions to Netflix. Write your legislators. Try to get that banned. Don't go for it because, oh, it's a Muslim girl coming of age story. There are other stories that can tell this so much better without sexualizing kids on screen. So I wholeheartedly recommend to you to watch something else, and this is just one of many of something else that you could be watching instead. I hope that this has been an informative video. Once again, this is normally not a movie review channel, and I will continue to talk about gaming related stuff tomorrow. It just bothered to me that people were acting like this is the first time that we see a female director direct a movie about a young Muslim girl. No, it's not. There's definitely movies about young Muslim girls and quite good female directors. So maybe invest your time into them instead.